Some of the content of Patriots Unfiltered may not be suitable for all audiences. Listener discretion is advised.
World's original podcast.
This is Patriots Unfiltered.
Presented by Toyota's official website for deals, buyatoyota.com.
All right, we are back. No open, nothing. We'll just get right to it. Oh, it's the Tuesday after the Sunday that wasn't. Oh, my goodness. It's Paul, it's Deuce, Evan will be by, and yeah, we're going to talk about it. We got to get it out of our system. Patriots lose Super Bowl 60. Just wasn't meant to be. We got there, but we just couldn't finish it. And the Seattle Seahawks are the champions. And they should be. They deserved it. Yep, absolutely. So, Deuce is speechless.
I don't know which way to go. For now, I'm going to go the positive way for it. I mean, what a season. I mean, before we get into the Super Bowl of it all, I was definitely disappointed. I was sitting amongst Seahawks fans. It was a whole different experience for your boy Deuce, not being in the press box again, not having Paul and Evan to talk to throughout the game. But after about 20 minutes after the loss, I just was what a thrill ride this was, how much personality this team had, how much this team got along. It was just so fun. And last week was just such a culmination of all that. I know the game wasn't, but all of the events and as people dug further and further into this team and external media sources got familiar with this team and how special this team was. Look, the Seahawks were awesome, and I don't know if anybody was going to stop them this year, but that doesn't get in the way of just a phenomenal Patriots season. Congratulations to everybody who put this team together and competed on the field. It was so much fun.
I suppose if you're going to lose a Super Bowl, that's the way to do it.
Fred, I said the exact same thing. Like, it was such a different feeling, like the Philadelphia one, and like the whole post game is like, where was Malcolm Butler? Why didn't he play? This call, goes this way or that way, and the catch by Tyree, none of that.
This was cut and dry.
None of that for this one, so it was different. And I think we're going to, be hearing from Mike Vrabel momentarily. Hopefully, we'll get a chance to see what he has to say. We did get in the locker room, Mike and I, this morning. The players sort of packing up and getting started on their off season, bounced around. Did hear from Drake May again. He said no surgery, just like kind of catching up on some newsy items. He said he will not need surgery on the shoulder. Just feels like rest will take care of it. Will Campbell did speak. I know some of our fans probably aware that he did not speak after the Super Bowl. Apologized for that, and just kind of said, I was very emotional coming off a performance like that. He took a lot of ownership of his own performance. So we have Vrabel now?
Yep, let's go to Mike Vrabel. We get some audio?
We need audio.
Yeah, he's working on it.
All right. Yeah, so I thought Campbell was really good today and sort of apologizing for not speaking the other day and took ownership of his performance, said I wasn't good enough. I'm the 4th overall pick. I'm a highly paid player, and I deserve to have people criticize. There's Vrabel.
The basement, you make additions to it, and we'll try to do that to this football team. I like the foundation of it, and we'll try to improve on it.
Like, will you get any downtime, or will you just dive right into the off-season?
Yeah, I'm sure there'll be some, get the coaches out of here. I'm sure there'll be some time, and, it's all part of it. And I think we're so embedded in it, you don't look and say that today's February 10th, and I think for the most part we focused on today a Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, we play a Sunday, so we got into that routine and never really noticed or paid attention to what the actual date was. So I'm sure we'll take a little bit of time, and then we'll have to continue on with the player evaluation and combine and all those things.
Mike, it was such a special team culture-wise. personality-wise. The changes are inevitable, as you alluded to. Is that difficult to wrap your head around? I mean, you've been in the business for a long time, but it's going to be...
Yeah, I don't know if that's difficult today. I mean, there'll be some difficult decisions that we'll have to make, and we'll try to do them with the team's best interest in mind. And as always, that'll never change. Appreciate what they did and how they came together, and all the guys that came in from other places that maybe didn't start the year with us, and the different path and the different journey that each guy took.
Mike, you're asked after the game if the Super Bowl experience would be a valuable one for you guys. He said it'll only be valuable if we understand what we need to do to improve. Having had the chance to reflect on it a little bit, do you know what you need to do to improve? Can you share that with us?
No, not right now. I don't think that this is a time to go into those. I mean, just still try to enjoy the season, enjoy 17 wins and the opportunity to coach these guys, and whatever that looks like. But we'll continually have to improve, reflect upon the first Super Bowl I played in and was able to win, and failed to make the playoffs next year. So we know how difficult this is. Won't be easy, or never will be. So we'll have a plan. No, it's okay.
When it comes to your coaching staff, did you envision Zach Moore staying as defensive coordinator? How do you think things work out with the team?
Yeah, there'll be a lot of things that we'll have to work through there, Mark. We'll have to work through. T's healthy and been given, a release to be back at work, and so again, I'll work through all those things here in the next, couple days, weeks, however long those decisions may take.
Mike, you just used the words, we know how hard this is. Using those 3 words, we know how hard. What you thought about this team when you first took the job, training camp, did this team meet expectations or pass expectations of you?
Every time you guys ask me about my expectations, I say I try not to have any so that I'm not disappointed. But I would say that they, now that we're done, probably exceeded expectations. I think we probably, the biggest thing is I think we learned how to win. And I think you have to learn how to win in this league. You have to understand sometimes they're pretty, sometimes they're not. Sometimes you have to come from behind. Sometimes you have to make a stop late defensively. Sometimes you have to make a kick. And sometimes they're, easier games where things are going right and you're returning punts for touchdowns and defensive touchdowns, and everybody's having a big pizza party. So, but we learned how to win in different ways, and I think that that's important in this league.
Have you rewatched the game yet?
Yeah, I've watched it. Yeah.
Are there any occasions where you say, I wish we did this, but why didn't we see that?
Well, I mean, I think that's the same case in every game. I wish we would have blocked this guy. I wish they wouldn't have moved. I wish we would have called a different coverage for what they did. I wish, but it doesn't go that way. None of us did enough to put ourselves in a position to win a game. Early on, I think, however that went, and we had chances. We put a drive together and stalled. We hit a 20-yard play and then stalled. We gained 8 yards on first down and find a way to not convert a first down. And there's a lot of things where, we had chances on a quarterback, and if we make those sacks, maybe the ball comes out. Maybe we intercept the ball instead of them catching it. Maybe Marcus makes that interception, as close as that is. That's how this game goes.
Mike, I wanted to ask you about Will Campbell, and I think because when he was coming out of the draft, some teams viewed him as a guard, others viewed him as a tackle. I guess his season has been looked at and scrutinized.
Just like everybody's has, you know what I mean? Like, that's what you had. When you sign up to play left tackle, you sign up to play corner, you sign up to play quarterback, you sign up to be the head coach. You get judged, you get scrutinized. Will's 22 years old. He's our left tackle. He'll get better, he'll get stronger. There's moments where he played well, moments where he blocked the guy. There's plays he'd like to have back. We're not moving Will to guard or to center or to tight end or anywhere else. So don't know what to tell you.
Mike, what do you guys hope? What do you hope that your team, because you didn't finish the job, what do you hope they learn from that?
How hard it is to win a championship. You know what I mean? How hard it is to finish, the season, to be at your best in the biggest and brightest moments. But you have to start over. This whole thing starts over in 10 weeks. The off-season program starts in 10 weeks. That's how I look at this. And, when I said that to them, they kind of looked at me like I was crazy. But that's the reality of it. We have a group of guys that played a lot of football. We have a lot of guys that didn't play a lot of football. And as I was taught, talk about the business of the NFL, the business is we're looking for the better, younger, cheaper player every day. And the players that we have are trying to not let that happen. And that's the dynamic, and that's the business of the National Football League.
Kevin Witherspoon said that he saw some tells from guards and tackles on pass rush sets. Were you able to see anything that he was talking about?
I mean, that tell is there every week where a guy's stance is a little different, and you know what I mean? Like we went the whole season, and Morgan Moses was in the same stance when we threw the ball, and we threw it pretty good, and when we run it, guys try to be in the same stances. We want to try to be as consistent as we possibly can. I think on some down and distances, guys can be in 2-point stances. We have certain rules for, they're in third down, or if you're on the open side, you're away from a tight end. And, I think that those things are pretty consistent. And, there were moments where they knew we were going to throw the ball. And I don't know, you'd have to give me the exact idea of when the nickel thought we were throwing it.
Mike, just reflect on what your first year in New England has been and what it's meant to you.
I think just the support since we first got here, not only from Robert and Jonathan, but the entire organization, of just everybody buying into what it was that we wanted to do. Some of the changes, some of the things that remain the same. I appreciate that. I know change is always sometimes difficult. The fans, the community, I thought, coming back here and seeing 20 people here last night, I know it doesn't sound like a lot, but, when you had a tough day, I thought that was pretty cool to see the people standing out here last night in the cold, waiting for us to come back just to welcome us back. So, we gave our fans a lot to cheer about. Certainly not satisfied with, not finishing the season with a championship. But I think we gave them a lot of things to be hopeful about and to cheer about, and those environments that they created in the playoffs was special.
Is it any more beneficial from a roster building standpoint to have gone through this playoff run, seeing how your team matches up against some of the top competition in the league and where the margin for error can maybe be increased moving forward?
I mean, we can only play who they let us play, and I guess being able to evaluate your team against the top talent is always something that's important. We try not to focus too much on who the opponent is, just what we need to do to try to win each week. But, I think that that's a good measuring stick to say, well, these guys are really good defenses, or this is how you need to be able to do these certain things to win. I think we have an idea, but then, once you play the better teams, all those things get magnified.
Over the course of this season, you mentioned multiple times like finding the right player and foster the relationship. I mean, evaluating a player's skill might be straightforward. You can look at the stats, the film, the tape, but how do you know like the personality and the characters for those players when you're evaluating them?
Well, I think that that's a great question to be able to, there's no test at the combine to measure or weigh, heart and fortitude and competitive spirit. They don't have tests for those types of things. So it's, we have to put it upon ourselves, our coaching staff, our scouts, our personnel staff to be able to identify the right type of people. You have to be talented, and you also have to have a certain makeup that when things are tough, which they are, they will be tough during the season, during the game, that we find a way to persevere.
Like at what point coming up, would you know about any changes to the coaching staff, and do you expect them?
There's always going to be change. I don't know when I would expect those. I just try to focus on the season. Met with the players this morning. We'll continue to meet and visit with coaches, and we'll kind of go from there.
A year ago, what is the biggest difference with the New England Patriots between last year and this year as you wrap up?
Like the last year, meaning the one we just had?
From your start date to now, the biggest difference in the building, the culture, where the team is at right now?
I mean, like I said, I feel like we learned how to win. I think that they believe that what we're doing is try to help them be better players, be better teammates, be better parents, be better husbands. I don't know. I hope that they care about the relationships in this building and that it's not transactional. We know that there's going to be transactions that take place, but I hope that they know that we have their best interests in mind. And we may disagree, but I think that there's a level of respect there. Nicole, you got nothing? Taking the day off? Super Bowl hangover? I appreciate you guys. I don't know how many guys I got to see or people that I got to see after the game, but I want to thank you. Thank you for covering us. Thank you for the care that you gave a lot of these stories. And again, we are fully understand that we're judged. We are questioned. Like, that's your job. That's what you guys are here for. But appreciate the respect that you gave us, gave me, gave our team, gave our organization. So look forward to seeing you guys in April maybe, or whenever I have to talk to you again. I know it's at the Combine. I'm just kidding. Happy birthday to Stacy, too. His birthday. You guys going to sing happy birthday when I leave?
60 comes quick.
Well, that's a wrap on the 2025 season. Mike Vrabel with his closing press conference, and that's possibly the last time we'll see that room.
Yeah.
Because the next time he'll be doing a press conference should be from the new Patriots training center.
That's right. Said that as we were walking out of the locker room today, although I know they'll be back here for game day, so there will still be use of the auditorium and those things, but yeah, open locker room, media center, all going to change.
All that stuff's going to change next year. All right, so any thoughts on what he had to say?
No, good stuff. I mean, that last question, I think they established the culture. They established a program here, and they certainly have a group of players returning who are going to believe in the process, but there's no carryover. That's the thing that, they got to rebuild right from the bottom again. And, I love Vrabel. I think he did a great job this year. It might be a little bit easier next year because he has some players who already know what the expectations are, and you have some players to lead the way and help set examples without needing to be told right from the get-go. So I'm just, right now I'm just so excited to get into the offseason and get into rebuilding this team. And, no one expected this. And it's easy to, we'll get into the Super Bowl and all the, plays that they missed and frustrations we have with the team. But I can't help but start this whole show off without saying I feel really great about this franchise and the direction they're headed and how excited I am. Like, they kept saying, we'll be back, we'll be back. I don't see it as we'll be back in the Super Bowl. I see it as we're going to be back as a competitive team next year. It's going to get harder. Teams are going to want to play them harder. And they're going to need to build and to get better at this offseason.
And you saw the amount of holes they had.
Yep.
Like that's what everybody keeps saying, I can't believe they made it this far and this was such an amazing season. And that's true. And this is why. Because it's amazing that they were able to establish a culture. And I thought the one thing that really stood out to me was Mike Vrabel saying we learned how to win. Mm-hmm. And that's not easy. The 2025 Patriots had tremendous culture. We'll see what the 2026 team has. That's why I liked your point, Mike, about that. Like, it's not something that carries over.
Back to the bottom.
You have to re-identify, reestablish it going forward.
And they'll have some money to spend, and I know they're going to be drafting low, but you know,
a lot of picks though.
That right. It doesn't mean that you can't draft good guys.
Right.
Yeah.
I was getting a little annoyed. I was after the game I was talking with No Socks, and he's like, "Well,
I heard about this.
You know, next year it's it's going to be a tougher schedule, and other teams are going to improve." Yeah, but I said, why can't we improve too? Like, why can't we get better?
Yeah,
like,
you can.
Why are we already writing off 2026? Because the schedule's going to be tougher.
I'm not writing off
Like,
2026.
I still think we can win the AFC East. Like, and then you're in the playoffs.
I'll give you the line that I annoy Patriots fans with constantly the last 4 or 5 years, when they want to keep telling me how bad Patrick Mahomes in Kansas City is and how bad Buffalo and Josh Allen. When you have a good quarterback, you are always a contender. The Patriots have that now. The Patriots will be a contender next year because they have Mike Vrabel and Drake May, and then how they fill in those holes around it will tell you how much of a contender they'll be. But they will be in the mix because you have those key ingredients.
Right.
Yeah, 100%.
Right. So I'm not dreading next year because it's going to be a tougher schedule, and on paper, right now, it is.
Dreading?
It's a tougher schedule, but I think we're going to be better too.
I mean,
it's just going to be a lot
let's
tougher.
go.
I don't want to talk about it.
Yeah.
But they got to go to Seattle next year. I mean, that game, I'm already like, let's go get the Seahawks.
The Bills are going to. If we have a tougher schedule, so are the Bills.
I can't imagine you're going to have all the things that fell into place for you again next year, but
it's going to be harder.
But
No
you
question.
have you have so much going for you. You have a young team. You had key, I know we haven't talked about the game yet, but like there's a young guy that I think has gotten unbelievably better down the stretch, who played a whale of a Super Bowl. Was Craig Woodson.
Yes, he did.
So you have these young guys that are playing bigger and bigger roles as you go. That's the kind of development. I know that people are disappointed because some of the other rookies seem to maybe hit a wall a little bit, or their play leveled off down the stretch, including Drake May, not a rookie but a young guy.
Yeah.
But there were some other younger guys that really stepped up and performed.
I'm glad you brought up Woodson, Paul. I thought he was excellent, and I think November, December. I remember talking on the show. Is he good? Like, he's playing a lot.
He plays
not making
a lot.
a lot of plays. Not
he's a
standing
starter,
out.
but
and then all of a sudden in the playoffs, you start to see this rookie safety making plays all over the place. He was outstanding in the Super Bowl. Walking into the post-game party, there were about 3-4 people with all Woodson jerseys on, and I'm like, that's got to be his family. I just said, hey, Woodson balled out today. And they were like, thanks, man, appreciate it. I said it to him today as well in the locker room. That, to me, might be the most exciting takeaway of the whole playoffs.
Well, that whole defense, the way they played for most of the game, I mean...
You can only hold on for so long.
You can only hold on for so long. They played really, really well, and Gonzo, I think, might have had one of his best games. 2 brilliant plays. He's going into his 4th year.
Yeah, they got to decide on his 5th-year option.
Do you just say, listen, let's just extend him now? Can you do that?
I think you have to do that.
Yeah.
I think he's the priority, and I'd say a legit edge rusher, be it Max Crosby or somebody else. Those are the biggest priorities for me of big spending and investing.
Yeah.
I think those are 2 spots to start.
I don't know how you do it, and I haven't really looked at the free agent lists, and I know there's not a ton, but I think they need a number 1 wide receiver too. But so in terms of,
it does not always just go without saying.
In terms of a big ticket item, I don't think that will be cheap. Now you could opt to try to get a young one. You could opt to draft one. The bottom of the first round. I don't know. Again, I haven't. We just got home.
Yeah,
I haven't delved into any of this.
I think when it comes to the draft, other than quarterback, we're back to best player available. I mean, I really don't think that there's one place where you can say, oh, they couldn't use an upgrade. Yeah, I think you can use an upgrade everywhere. And if there's a guy that's obviously the best player at a position, I think you got to take him. But
it is another one of those. The Super Bowl itself is another one of those cliches that everybody talked about last year. The Eagles just dominated on both sides of the line, and I was a little. I mean, the Patriots offense obviously had its struggles throughout the postseason, so I wasn't overly surprised that happened on offense. I was surprised that the Patriots could not stop the run in this game. I did not expect. I didn't anticipate. I would have thought if Seattle was going to win this game fairly easily, then Sam Darnold would have had one of his better games. He didn't. He was pretty average. I thought he missed a lot of easy throws that were wide open. I thought he was late on a lot of throws. And then a couple of times he was victimized by drops, but the run, I was not expecting Kenneth Walker to be that effective.
What was his numbers in the first half?
Oh, like
94 yards.
94
Oh,
yards.
yeah, did him. I thought
He had
Darnold
94
was-
yards in the first half, and he finished with, what was it? 135.
Yeah.
5 yards. 5 yards.
But they
a carry.
weren't letting him in the end zone.
Right.
You
well,
know,
I thought
so
I
like
thought Darnold
that was the kind of
terrible,
game where you're like, okay, you know, you get a couple sevens, trade them for threes. That's the way you want it to go.
Yeah.
But the offense just didn't do its part.
No.
It didn't do its part. And every Super Bowl that I've ever watched since I was a kid where one team dominates another, it's because their line dominates. And their defensive line dominated our offensive line, and we just couldn't do anything.
Like Super Bowl 42. I mean, that to me was that's what I was watching. It was they couldn't do anything.
It's when Denver beat Carolina. It's when my old Denver team would lose.
Yeah.
It's because their line got dominated by some NFC team. That's when you get these lopsided Super Bowls when you lose the trenches badly.
When we were on Radio Row, Mike Reese said something that I was kind of disappointed I hadn't really thought about enough. And he pointed out the veteran leadership on that defensive line, the DeMarcus Lawrences of the world, the Leonard Williams, the guys that had been around for a while. And maybe it's oversimplifying it, but when he said those things, I'm like, those guys are going to come to play. And the rookies and old Morgan, like, the old linemen and the new linemen, they all had to play up to that level, and they couldn't. And it's not all that surprising. It reminded me somewhat of the Patriots defense when you just had a bunch of dudes who have been here. They are here to win a Super Bowl. This is their time. These veterans, they were outstanding. What are you going to do?
Yep. Hi, Evan.
Hello.
How you doing?
Okay.
Yeah, just okay?
Been better.
Yeah. Have you come to grips with it, or are you still trying to figure this out?
Yeah, it's not even so much about the result of the game. I just going to the combine in 2 weeks. This is I've never done this one before, so this will be fun. Quick turnaround, and a lot to digest from the game, and then a lot to get to moving forward. But
that'll help. It'll help you get back into it.
No,
so you don't
I mean,
have to,
honestly,
you don't have any time to dwell on it.
Right.
I'm not dwelling on it too much. I mean, when you lose to a better team, there's not much really to dwell on, and that's what we saw. So I mean, there were some things that certainly I thought the Patriots didn't do very well in this game that was uncharacteristic of them. That was disappointing. I would say offensively, they just had no plan for pressure whatsoever, which was very frustrating to watch back yesterday, where they're bringing the same nickel blitz over and over again, and they just aren't blocking it over and over again. And you're just like, how can a Josh McDaniels coordinated offense get beat by the same scheme 4, 5, 6 times? Defensively, they missed 18 tackles in this game. There's 4 or 5 opportunities behind the line of scrimmage to sack Sam Darnold that Milton Williams and Jalen Hawkins and guys just missed. So I thought offensively there was a mess. Defensively, there were plays there to be made, and they were making them the first 3 playoff games, and they just didn't make them on Sunday. Plays that could have flipped the game potentially in their favor. Chase on gets free off the edge and is just a split second too late, and Darnold's arms moving forward, so that's an incomplete pass instead of a fumble. But against Houston or against Denver, has been a strip sack, and those are the types of plays that maybe would have turned the tide.
Yeah, I hear that, and I do think that there were defensive plays. I saw those missed tackles. I saw guys flash by Darnold and just miss him. But I think I just can't put it on the defense.
No. The offense, you punted the first 8 times you had the ball.
Right. You got to put up some fight.
I didn't think they played well on either side of the ball.
Yeah. I don't think they played as well as the defense is getting credit for.
Christian Gonzalez and Craig Woodson played out of their minds.
Woodson was unbelievable in this game, and I think there were 2 specific pass breakups by Gonzalez that were just extraordinary. Now, that said, I think they were both on Darnold. I think Darnold had a guy, and I'm not even telling you Gonzalez got beat. I think the slant to JSN in the goal line was just late and behind him. And unbelievably athletic dive and pass breakup on the deep ball, which is Shaheed. that he had. That's just like elite. That's an elite breakout.
One of the best cornerback plays of the season.
Just elite. And there's some great. I mean, I know people don't want to see them now, but there's some great photos of that play.
It was just
that's an exceptional athlete making a play in space. But I do think Darnold, like, he had some of those plays. I kind of agree with Evan. I think Darnold was the reason that they were getting held to 3 instead of getting the 7 more often than not.
But did you feel like he got sped up? Do you feel like he?
No, I just feel like
in there in pressure. There were times where it felt like
I just felt like
they're sending 0 blitzes and it's off. But I felt like, but that's the point, you know. Like, there's going to be a guy there.
Yeah,
but
I didn't really feel like he looked like he was sped up to me. I just felt like he was just missing easy. The couple to Cooper Kupp of the sticks, like easy outs, like pitch and catch kind of throws that he was throwing way to the outside. Maybe it was pressure. They did get pressure in this game.
No, it seemed like that was just we're going after him. I mean,
I thought that was the one area that I thought defensively was really good. I thought they got consistent pressure. They just, like Evan said, they weren't getting sacks.
It just is. They didn't make the game-changing play, and I think that's what a lot of the players talked about after the game on defense. Wasn't that they felt like they were the reason why they lost the game or anything like that, but they left
plays on the field.
They needed to turn Seattle over, and they weren't able to turn them over, and they had probably 3 or 4 opportunities to do it, and they weren't able to do it. And offensively, it was obviously why they lost, but I didn't think the defense made enough plays either.
Red zone. I mean, I was happy that they got stops in the red zone. I mean, that was critical, and that was a part of their game that stunk all year.
And it's 1 for 4 on paper, but it's really kind of 1 for 6 because they had a couple other field goals that were just outside the red zone. And again, I just put it more on Darnold. I don't think Darnold was great in this game.
Yeah.
And I'm happy for. I mean, Patriots stuff aside, I'm happy for his redemption story. I think sometimes these guys get the crap kicked out of them when it doesn't go great for them early in their career, and guys like him and Baker Mayfield and Geno Smith have sort of resurrected themselves and bounced back from that. I think that's commendable, but I don't think he played. His game was the NFC Championship. He did. If he played like he did against the Rams in this game. Oof.
Yeah, I mean, I'd give the defense some credit on some of the red zone stops and stuff like that, and
especially against the run. I thought they were good in the red zone.
Yeah, and they were good statistically. They just, Kenneth Walker had 5 explosive runs, that were big plays in the game on a game that didn't have a lot of offense. That's kind of reminded me of Super Bowl 53 with Julian Edelman, right, where he was just. In a defensive game, he was the best offensive player in a defensive game for either team. Those runs were big, but Seattle, this is one of their worst offensive performances on like a per play basis of the season.
It's funny because Darnold said that right after the game.
Yeah.
Like it's amazing. Like you're like 2 questions into an on field. He goes, well, we won the Super Bowl and all, but we didn't play very well offensively today.
Yeah, they actually averaged fewer yards per play than the Patriots did.
Yeah. Well, I think the Patriots had something
I'm not
going
to get into any offensive comparisons. The Patriots had about 260 yards in the fourth quarter.
That was for almost 300, Paul. Come on.
For how
Knock Zima doesn't even want that makeup.
For how horrible the Patriots offense was, the numbers are not that far off, which tells you that the Seahawks offense wasn't all that great either. Yeah. I think the most frustrating part about the Patriots offense was just I thought that there were a handful of times where there was open receivers and they just couldn't block it. They were just either not blocking it or missed maybe 4 or 5 throws that he probably want to have back. And it was just a combination of those 2 things where I really did not watch this tape and thought the receivers were getting, strapped by Seattle's secondary and there was no place to go with the ball. I mean, there certainly were a few plays like that, but there are a few plays like that in every single game.
The one that really frustrated me, there was the 3rd and 1, and I was like, take a shot, and they did, and they had like maybe a 20-yard completion that was there, and he just missed them. Douglas was open on that play, and I didn't think it was an overly difficult throw. It was
what do you think about it? It seemed like Douglas was getting more attention this game, like more plays going to Douglas. He was getting more reps.
Well, I saw him lined up on Imamori a couple times, which I thought was maybe they're trying to test that ankle out, and a small, quick guy. I mean, but
he did a really good job on that wheel route in the second play of the second half, I think it was.
Might
have been the first play.
Pop was open the entire game.
Yeah, not on that play.
Yeah,
He wasn't though.
No.
Which I think that they were dialing something up coming out of the halftime with him, and I think it was him and then Henderson with something. They wanted to get to the edge, and I give the Seahawks credit. They sniffed both of those out.
He threw it as the one on the back shoulder. You mean?
It was down the sideline in front of the Patriots bench.
Yeah, Drake threw it as a back shoulder, and Pop tried to adjust to it, but doesn't have the biggest catch radius, so it just didn't happen. But there was like
it didn't look right.
There was like 4 or 5 times on the film where Pop is open deep, and they just.
Well, I saw what you saw.
But what's going on with May at that time? Like
he's under pressure. Yeah.
Right.
So like there's but if they were able to block it up, then I think they would have had opportunities. Against even like he ran on a 16-yard scramble on 3rd down in the 4th quarter that moved the chains and everything. Pop remains a thrower a little bit longer. That might be a touchdown if he sees him down the field. There's a lot of that going on. It was very disappointing that they got outcoached as badly as they did on offense.
Now you say outcoached, just because they couldn't scheme up protection enough, or
I just thought that their whole pressure plan was, I don't even know what it was, to be honest with you. I mean there was just too many instances where there was free runners at May. Like they're just overloading a side of the protection, and like when you talk about blitzes and protections and stuff, you have 2 kind of obvious ways to go about it. You can either scheme up something to throw hot and get the ball out of the quarterback's hands by throwing behind the blitz underneath the defense, or you can try to load up on blockers and bring 6-7 guys in and try to block it and then take shots out of blocking it that way, because you're going to have the one-on-ones on the outside. And they just kind of were left without either answer. They weren't blocking it. They were sending guys down the field against blitzes, and there's nobody in to block for it. And there's 3 vertical routes that he's looking at, and it's like, well, where is he supposed to go with the ball?
Do you think that Seattle just did a really good job of disguising what they were going to do and just doing what we didn't think they were going to do in certain situations? Like if their defense did what we thought, we would have had it blocked, but they just seemed to be outguessing us, or. We went through this whole season and it never looked that bad.
Yeah, I mean,
the Texans looked pretty bad
against other opponents of the Seahawks, though.
Yeah.
This is kind of what they do.
They're the best blitzing defense in football.
They are, but like
so
teams were able to score some points on them. I mean, let's face it.
Were they?
If it wasn't until the end,
like number one scoring defense in the NFL.
They were the number 1 scoring defense. So the Rams scored on them.
Rams scored on them.
They allowed 30 twice.
Yeah.
Once the Rams, once the Tampa Bay.
Okay. Yeah. All I wanted was in the 20s. I don't need 30.
Well, they don't allow 20. Yeah. They allow 17.
But it's also just,
I would have taken that too.
Either way, and McDonald deserves a lot. He's a great play caller, and he knows when to time it up. He knows when, where the weaknesses are and protections, things of that nature. I mean, they were just blitzing the crap out of the B gap. Like they were just sending 2 guys right through the B gap. The back can only take 1, so there's just always going to be somebody unblocked every single time. So, like I said, there are answers to these things that offenses have. There's tools to solve it. Now, is that Drake May pre-snap recognizing that things are coming and getting into protections? Is that systemically, like they're typically a system that wants to block it rather than throwing hot against unblocked rushers? So like, is that a communication thing, pre-snap, an identification thing? Is that a flaw with the system that they need to look at? Maybe throwing hot more, because I thought in the 4th quarter, even though it was a little bit too late at that point, he hit Ramondre in the flat for 13 yards. He hit Kyle Williams on a speed out against the same pressures that they had been bringing. So it was too late at that point, but they did start to find some answers to it late. So, that was, to me, was them throwing hot against the blitzes, though, and not having him try to block it. So, like, whatever the solution to it is, they didn't have one, right? So you got to come up with a better solution.
I just think their guys are better than our guys.
Well,
there's nobody there to block the guy.
Right.
What does he got to do?
I do think both things can be true.
Yeah.
Like, I wouldn't necessarily push back on Evan saying that they didn't get out-coached, because I think they did. And I wouldn't push back on someone that said, well, what do you expect Josh to do? The other guy just had more talent. I think that's accurate, too. Sometimes both things can be true.
If you're talking about the 4-man rushes, then I'm with you. You have 5 guys, they have 4, and they're getting home with 4-man rushes. That's a problem. They had an 86% pressure rate when they blitzed in this game.
No.
They hit on every single one.
But I also think, there was one particular blitz and I know Witherspoon blitzed 4 or 5 times, and I think he got picked up once.
Yeah. Those are the ones.
But there was one in particular that he came, and it looked like his timing was way off, and he was late. And that's usually danger zone for the defense.
Right. And he still got away with it.
But he zigzagged, with an athleticism that I don't think there's just anybody does. I think he's a good player and has a knack for that. I think, when you get into open space like that, and you find a way to get to the quarterback, and you got home. Now, I also think, and people don't want to talk about this, but I also... something that Evan said is really true. Some of this stuff is on Drake.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
I thought he held the ball a little bit early in the game.
Yep.
And I don't think he was seeing it quickly enough. And I do think, like Evan made, and I know exactly the 2 plays you're talking about, they got to him immediately on that little swing to Ramondre Stevenson. And again, I'm dismissing the play because of when it happened, but there were probably other opportunities to do stuff like that I don't think he looked like.
No, Drake did not play
enough.
well.
No,
this drive chart is unbelievable.
I agree that he held the ball.
They had
at
78 yards in the first 3 quarters. Their longest drive was the first drive of the game for 28 yards.
Yeah, and I thought that drive though was that was the way they had to play. It was a 6-yard run on first down. They got 2 yards on second down and a little flat, ball on the flat to Ramondre Stevenson first down, and just keep on chipping away at it. And the other thing that I thought
two first downs
was just bizarre was how little they featured the backs in this game. I thought they were running the ball a little bit on them, not for big plays, but it was keeping them on schedule so that they weren't in 3rd and 15. And they were chipping away with the run game with Ramondre. He was grinding out some tough yards between the tackles that were making it 2nd and 5 instead of 2nd and 15.
He played well, Ramondre.
Yeah, Henderson had a 7-yard run. He had a 9-yard run on a little toss play. They ran a nice RPO shovel.
But
for
that
7.
said, they both averaged 3 yards a carry.
Yeah, but that's the team you're going up against. You're not going to be, if you get into long down and distances against Seattle, that's when Devin Witherspoon's coming through the B gap.
But I think they were getting in some of those with some stuffed runs. Early in some of the possessions. I just don't think they had any answers for anything Seattle was doing. But I don't put it I don't know, maybe I'm just too defensive of Josh. I am
a little bit too, but I think what's troubling is, the Witherspoon blitzing was kind of their twist, right? This wasn't something that they did him specifically.
But they talk so much about all the games that they run.
Right. But I just may look so unaware of him. Unaware of him when he's coming through. He's not even looking his way. And that, and I go back to, is he calling out the right protection? Is he calling out the right mic?
That's why I think Evan's right to bring that up.
But I see the same things that you guys saw with the blitzing, and they're blitzing him off, and Pop's got nobody on him. You just stop, turn around. It's a beep.
What I'd love to see next year is those pressure beaters where when you're up against a team that, has the advantage, getting the ball out of your quarterback's hands, giving him options to be able to do that. We just don't seem to be. We haven't been able to do it all year. It's been a problem.
It's becoming apparent what, when Drake's off his game at this stage in his career, what it looks like. And this was some of the stuff we saw in the summer where he's drifting a little bit into pressure. He's looking the wrong way. And Seattle seemed to have a beat on those things and were able to expose it.
There's a lot of, pros and cons to doing it, either way. A lot of the West Coast coaches, my guy Kyle Shanahan, a lot of those guys, they just throw hot against blitzes. They don't worry about the quarterback trying to get up there and be a chess master and move guys around and protect it and all this different stuff. They just have pre-programmed hot routes within the concept.
Yeah. Right.
And that's how they do it. Typically, and I don't know 100% that this is how they only do it this way or that way, but typically with McDaniels, they've always been let's change the play at the line of scrimmage to block it instead of let's react to it post-snap. But when you have a 23-year-old quarterback who's only in his 2nd season, he's not Tom Brady. He's not going to get to the line of scrimmage. And, the quarterbacks that had success against Seattle are 37-year-old Matthew Stafford. who can get to the line of scrimmage and kind of get a feel for what they're in and see the defense.
He's also seen it a few times.
And do it that way. So I think that Drake May plays better when he's confident. The ball's coming out.
I'd like to
that.
dictate on offense instead of react.
Yeah.
And, even if they don't bring pressure, having those quick plays, timing plays, getting the ball out of the quarterback's hands quickly, keeps the defense on their heels, sets up longer shots, sets up the run play. I think though that those quick high percentage passes in today's day and age are actually your kind of good run plays that set everything else up.
You gotta get Chisholm. Get Chisholm in the weight room this
well,
year.
you need. I mean, I honestly believe in what Dante Scarnecchia said. Every quarterback needs his binky.
Yeah.
And to me, the binky is someone that you can always rely on to get open.
Yeah, you know who I kind of been thinking about is a guy like Colston Loveland. I think that's the kind of guy that like Drake, I feel like would love. A big lane, athletic tight end with a big catch radius, like a tight end version of Mac Hollins. I mean, to be honest, I'm a little disappointed.
Kind of Mac Hollins.
A little disappointed. But maybe a little.
He kind of was a tight end.
Thicker. But I was kind of disappointed with Hunter Henry and I mean this playoffs, and I just feel like, is this a sign? He's over 30. Hooper's a free agent. That's a spot to me. I agree with what Paul said.
They
Getting
definitely,
number one, but
there's no question they need a tight end.
We'll probably talk about Isaiah Likely a little bit this offseason, but if you could get an elite kind of mover with a big catch radius, somebody that Drake likes, that could be the binky.
And he's got to work on his accuracy too under pressure.
Those were a couple of throws too. Hooper twice.
He throws
one of them to Hooper was a bad route, but I don't know which one the other one.
There was one that he
the one from his own end zone was a bad. The route was not.
Oh, okay.
Was that
all right? I think that's the one I'm thinking.
He stopped
of.
Just writing a little flag out.
Yeah, he stopped running. I don't know what he's doing.
All right, 855-PATS-500 is the hotline. Podcast at patriots.com is the email address. Let's get to it. Let's see what everyone has to say. I'm sure everyone needs to get a little therapy here, get some stuff off their chest. Let's keep it clean. No, I'm only kidding. Herm's in D.C. What's Herm? You're first.
What's going on, fellas?
Hey.
I don't know. I could take it so many different directions, but
we have a lot of people waiting.
Yeah, and I guess I was disappointed in really the coach said because it didn't seem like they had him ready to play. In 0 points to 3 quarters, that's not really conducive to winning a Super Bowl game. But I guess my question is big picture, and I apologize if you guys talked about it already. I guess what positions would need to be addressed this upcoming offseason in order to obviously take the next step?
All right. I mean, like I said, there's a lot of them. I mean, right now everyone's focused on the line and left tackle. So let's address the elephant in the room. Is Will Campbell your left tackle for 2026? Forget about the future.
2026, Mike Vrabel just told you definitively
he said he
yes.
is, but what do you think?
Yes.
Should he be?
Yes.
Yeah, I do think he should be. A, to give him more time, like Mike said, but also B, you just acquired 2 tackles in 25. You drafted one at 4, and you signed a free agent in Morgan Moses. Morgan Moses is probably going to need to be replaced sooner rather than later. If you wanted to draft a tackle, maybe in the second round, I mean, I don't know. I haven't delved into this. Not to jump on Evan's side of the street here. Like I don't know,
of a
31?
deeper tackle class. Like it's
maybe
not
31. I don't know.
I don't think you're going to draft a tackle that's going to be better at Will Campbell at 31.
But I'm saying for like maybe the a potential replacement on the right side, and then you go in, you have some depth here to fill in, and then you figure out definitively in 26 if it looks the same as it did this year. Then I would strongly think about making a move for 27. If he shows significant improvement this year, in 26, then you say, great. We were patient, and we knew this guy was the player that we drafted at 4, and you go forward with him.
I know there's going to be a lot of questions about needs and players to target and stuff like that, but I think the most important part right now is like what happened offensively that led them to averaging 12 points a game less in the playoffs than they did in the regular season. Was it just the competition was so elite that they just got bogged down? Was it injury? Campbell with his knee, Drake May with his shoulder. Was it they need more talent? They need upgrades? Is it right now, is it system?
I want to build an offense that plans on facing an elite defense every week.
Right.
And you're not going to score 30 points every week, but to have some type of, plan or defense against a good defense.
Yeah. I agree with you, Fred. I mean,
they just need to do, the autopsies right now is the most important part. Like, why did they drop off so big offensively in the playoffs? And before we start talking about moving Campbell or, acquiring number one wide receivers and using a big asset on that, like, they need to figure out what they feel like was the main reasons that they only averaged 16 points a game in the playoffs. And I don't care who you're playing, that's not going to be good enough.
Yeah.
And so it didn't catch up to them until the Super Bowl, but most likely in the future it will catch up to them sooner than that.
Sure. If you're going to play better teams next year, which on paper we will, it will catch up to them sooner. So I think a lot of it is Drake. I don't think he's fully baked yet. I think he still needs time in the oven.
Yeah.
He had 6 touchdowns and 4 picks.
Yeah.
And 7 fumbles.
Yeah.
I mean, it was sacked a NFL record 21 times.
Sacked 21 times, and his completion percentage was under 60%. 4 games. So you could just say, well, postseason sometimes that's deceiving. That's a 4-game snapshot.
His clock needs to speed up.
I think Evan's point is dead on. Like, you need to figure out why. Was it just Drake? Was it a combination of protection in Drake? Was he not setting the right protections? Were the guys not blocked? Like, there was one sack that Wilson just got walked right back into May.
Yep.
And I also thought that was a sack that I was really stunned that May took. Like, that he didn't see the guy getting walked right into his lap. And then he was like, move. Right. And then he gets sacked.
Yeah.
So it's probably a combination of a variety of things. Evan's point is right. You need to find out the whys that you went 16 points, basically 21. They scored 28, but that was a pick 6 with Marcus Jones. 16, 21, 10, and 13 in your playoff games. And really, 2 of those 7s were defensive.
It's just no easy decisions on the offensive line. And the fact that Vrabel said Will Campbell's our left tackle, that's the only thing I'm positive now about that team. I love Morgan Moses. To your point, Paul, can we count on him next year, another year older, to play every game? Micah Onyenu's making a lot of money. Do they feel like he is the right value for what they need? Garrett Bradbury was great this year.
I think you got to keep Onwenu now.
But Bradbury had a tough time in this one too, and we know he's been up and down. Praise for his leadership though, and then Wilson might be the heir apparent at that. So I'm not sure where you start.
Like you.
That's the tricky part of center, because I think the best thing to do would be to move Jared Wilson back to center and then sign a left guard that
like a dude,
like a should have been Joe Tooney. It was someone that is a veteran that can play next to Campbell and can help Campbell.
Yep.
Through all of this type of stuff.
It's a good point.
But if you're going to do that, is Garrett Bradbury out? Is Jared Wilson now not a starter next year?
Right.
Do you make that a camp battle between 2 guys that you really like and don't want to, I know it's not the Boy Scouts.
Do you think they know right now where Jarrett Wilson should be in 2026?
I would hope that they see him still as a center. I just think that his his body type, his issues against anchoring, against power, I think he's a natural center.
I hope that they agree or don't agree and know right now this is his position.
Well, I wonder,
because I don't want to be finding out.
The big thing to me would be Bradbury. Like, what do they feel about Bradbury?
Yep.
Make him a super sub.
He's only ever played center.
He's only played center?
Yeah.
Okay, well, Ben Brown's your super sub. Then.
Yeah, I wonder if maybe, and maybe it might be, too picky in terms of type, but there is a way that if you can get the right kind of left guard to play next to Will Campbell, that could really help Will Campbell out a lot.
Yep.
A guy that's a little bit wider, that takes up a little bit more space, that's a little stronger.
Mm-hmm.
All those types of things that could really help him out a ton. But then your musical chairs, at center and with Jared Wilson, who you like and is a player you picked high and all that kind of stuff.
Which I hate that we're diving in the offseason, but Vidarian Lowe's a free agent. Do you re-sign him? Do you go out? I'd add a guard and a tackle that I think have potential to start at some point, whether it's a veteran that can come in right in and start, or draft a rookie tackle who maybe could take that Vidarian Lowe spot. Maybe you got Marcus Bryant still.
And I wonder what they think of Marcus Bryant. And he didn't get any opportunities really to play. I don't know if that means he wasn't ready for them or they didn't need it. Like I said, you had a couple of guys that almost never play full seasons in Carlton Davis and in Morgan Moses.
Right.
Those are two guys that are constantly missing 4 games a year. And the fact that they didn't was one of the reasons why you were so successful.
Yeah. Danny's in Daytona. What's up, Danny?
Hey, how's it going, guys? You guys back from Radio Row, I see?
Yes, yeah, sir. We're back from Radio Row.
Ooh. All right. I'm going to make this quick. Evan and Paul, you guys hit it on the nail on the coffin, or the nail on the head on the coffin. I would say, this is my opinion, I'm going to make this quick on the line. I think the whole line should be a battle next year. What they need to do is, like Dan Orlovsky said on ESPN, and several analysts across the league were saying after the game, I sat back and was kind of digesting a lot of stuff, and I put all my emotions aside yesterday. I think that in 2026, Mike Vrabel needs to do what Bill Belichick did for years, make it an open competition. Will Campbell needs to fight for his spot next year for the line at left tackle. There's
With who?
A guy that the Texans. There's a guy that the Texans are selected in the mock draft. This Proctor guy. I think if they can get somebody at the bottom of the draft, yeah, it may not be a great tackle class, but you bring in somebody. Last year, I think Paul brought this up in the beginning of the season that there was no competition for Will Campbell. He was just slated to just kind of go in there and be the guy. So next year, this coming season, you bring in competition for Will Campbell. He has to fight and earn for his spot. This is the National Football League. You got to fight for your spot and earn it. It's not given. Yeah.
I think he's going to fight for a spot regardless. There's going to be backups to Will Campbell, but see, I get that. Like, you want everyone competing and go into camp and make it an open competition. I don't want to do that. I want them to go into camp knowing who they think is going to be the starters, and let's go with that.
We're also advocating for they need to have. Okay, so Vidarian Lowe wasn't deemed enough competition for. Well, there aren't enough tackles in the league as it is. Like now, the Patriots are going to have a starting caliber tackle that's going to push Will Campbell. Like they just used the 4th overall pick on a tackle. That's why I would not advocate moving him to guard right now. I think he's probably going to end up there. If you're asking me to put my hand on a Bible and tell you what I think he's going to end up as a guard. But I wouldn't do it now. I would see it through. You took the 4th overall pick. Make sure before you move it. We talked to Robert Gallery last week, right? As one of our many guests. I'm sure you guys all enjoyed a lot of those guests. Number 2 overall pick in the draft was considered a generational type prospect.
Blue chip.
He spent 3 years at tackle before he became a guard. It happens. I mean, sometimes it happens. No one wants that to be the case. But if he ends up being a good guard or even an elite guard, is that better than being sort of a run-of-the-mill tackle? I don't know. Mike Vrabel might say, no, it's more valuable to have a serviceable tackle than an elite guard. And if that's what they feel, I'm not the football expert. They are.
I mean, especially with the supply and demand, right? It's much easier to find playable guards than
no one has tackles
to play tackles. But I would just say the line played bad in the Super Bowl, full stop. But let's not overreact and act like the line was in complete shambles all season. Like the line got a lot better this year compared to last year, certainly, and was basically above league average for the majority of the season until they hit the playoffs. So to overreact to the Super Bowl and say they need wholesale changes on the offensive line, I just would be careful with doing that off of just one game that was admittedly bad.
Alex is in San Diego. What's up, Alex?
Hey, what's up, guys? Welcome back. This feels a lot different than 2007, 2011, 2017, because I just felt like those games just was if something went different, we could have won.
Right.
We didn't have any of that this year.
We didn't get a hat ripped out this time.
Yeah. Yeah. But anyway, I just think moving forward, I think this team really needs to get younger. I love the free agents, but they're getting older. And I know it's something we've talked a lot on this show, but we really need to build through the draft. I know you talk with Morgan Moses getting up there in age. Garrett Bradbury's 30. Elliott Wolf had a great draft in 25, but 24, not so much. So that's why I really think this next draft is going to be huge. But anyway, I'll take it off the line.
Okay, thanks, Alex.
FM picks.
Yeah, I mean, I said this earlier. You know, if you're gonna lose in the Super Bowl, this is the way to lose because, like, you were were dominated.
You know what?
Like, there was no like last minute. Oh my God! If we could only have done this, we would have won. No.
I mean, I would offer the slightest of homer views. At 22-7, they got the stop.
Yeah.
They got the ball, and you're like,
they could have.
It was 19-7.
If they can go down and score here, maybe it was 19-7.
19-7.
I'm starting to think about the
and then
2 point.
Drake throws the end.
Paul,
pick.
question: when they got that first touchdown, were you surprised they didn't go for 2?
Oh, what? You got to light me up now?
Sorry, we can get that after the break.
We've talked about this. I think they got the 2-point conversions backwards. I would have gone for 2 in the first one, and I would have kicked the second one.
I didn't think they managed the game well at all, to be honest with you.
I couldn't talk about this stuff with all the Seahawks fans that were around me. But you know what I loved about the Super Bowl? The only people that liked this Super Bowl were Seahawks fans because everybody else was bored out of their mind.
Yeah. Well, I can't blame them.
So real quick, Freddie.
Especially when the Patriots are in it. It's always an amazing game.
When the Patriots scored, it was 19-7.
Yeah.
So that's 19. That's 8-3. Mm-hmm. That's the way I would look at it. So you score. If you can get 8, now I can get 11. I can get 8-3.
Right.
If I miss it, I still need 2 touchdowns to take the lead.
Yep.
Right? Yep. So it's not like I cost myself anything in terms of touchdown. I don't need 3 touchdowns if I don't get it. I still need 2 touchdowns. I would be down 13 instead of 12. I don't see much of a difference between 13 and 12. The second touchdown, they make it 29-13. And it's 16. If you kick it there and make it 15, again, that's only 1 2-point conversion you need to tie, potentially. Yeah. They opted to go for 2, and now it forces you, if you don't get it, to need 2 2s to tie. It was like back to the Falcon Super Bowl. You need 2 touchdowns, 2 2s.
Right.
Were they major things in the game? No, but I would have done it the opposite.
I was sitting up there, and I'm like, I wonder what Paul thinks about this.
I just wanted to put any sort of game pressure on Sam Darnold, and they just never got there.
Yeah.
When they made it 19-7 and then they got the stop, I was like, a score here would at least make him feel.
Oh yeah,
like, was that the fumble at that point, or was that the pick?
I think it was the pick.
The pick.
Yeah, and the pick, he almost threw a pick 2-3 plays earlier on the same thing where he just heaving it up. And it's
one of the best throws of the night, it turned out to be, he threw into like an unbelievable defensive team meeting. There was like 4 guys. Yeah. And then the next play was his best throw, the touchdown to Hollins. But that play to Hollins that got him down there was like, I can't believe that didn't get intercepted.
Yeah.
I couldn't help but think about, it wasn't going great. But when you had Tom Brady, you knew that at some point he was going to start playing good, and you just had that confidence that, and then you realize you're like, Drake hasn't done that yet. Like you're like 28-3, and you're like,
let's put it this way: like someone had asked me, I didn't put this on air, obviously. Someone had asked me about the nod. Like in my mind, the nod came really early in this game. But if Tom Brady was playing, it wouldn't have been the same.
Yeah.
When it was 19-7 through the pick, like I just.
That was probably the finality.
He was trying to get 12 points in one drive.
Yeah.
And they got off their own goal line. They had been chipping away a little bit at it.
You're right.
A couple of dump offs to Stevenson, a scramble, and then he just started going for broke. And I was like, "What? Just make it 19-14 and see what happens." There's still 9 minutes left in the game. Right. It just was not a good game.
I know.
They just did not play well.
All right, we'll take a break. When we come back, more calls and emails here on the Postmortem.
Whether you're in the game or betting on the game, you'll need a game plan. DraftKings Sportsbook, the official sports betting partner of the New England Patriots, provides you with everything you need to build your personal betting game plan so you can get in on all the action while practicing safe bets. Visit DraftKings.com/responsible-gaming to learn more about all the safe betting tools DraftKings has to offer. Hope is here, 800-327-5050 or gamblinghelplinema.org. Must be 21 plus. Play it smart from the start. GameSenseMA.com. Physically present in Massachusetts. See DraftKings.com/responsible-gaming for details and state-specific responsible gambling resources.
Isn't it time to get exactly what you want? Welcome to Red Hot Deal Days from Verizon, where you get your pick of our best deals. Like My Plan, where you can pick the perks you want and and save on every one. For limited time, bring your own phones to a Verizon store and you can get My Plan for our best price ever. Get exactly what you want in your phone plan and only pay for what you need. Bring your phones to your Verizon store today and get My Plan. These deals won't last. It's your Verizon.
The heaviest metal credit card of all time. Wielded at business dinners like a samurai sword. It's a classic corporate power move. But the real power move, having end-to-end visibility on your most critical shipments. FedEx, the new power move.
If you're gonna play the game, boy, you gotta learn to play it right.
DraftKings is all about responsible gaming. It's more fun when it's for fun. So play responsibly. DraftKings, the crown is yours.
Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. 21 plus. Age and eligibility varies by jurisdiction.
Do you think ultimately your Super Bowl experience might ultimately be helpful to you down the road?
I think 100%. I think you can use it as a learning experience and an experience that I have a chance to remember for the rest of my career, the rest of my life, and it's a chance to battle back for something that didn't go your way or you wish would have gone different, and give you fuel to remember that, and that's what you give me something to work for. I think it's something for this team to work for, and this organization and these coaches, and we came up short and we won the last two playing at the same time, so it's hard to really reflect on it, this early, but, knowing from the kind of the quick, 24 or 48 hours that it has been that, we left it all out there. I know that, and we came up short, and, we didn't execute or play how we wanted to, but there's a lot of things that this team did well, and we can use it down the road as, we get back in OTAs or get back in training camp, like, what could be the difference, or what could we do a little extra, or, what could I do, in the quarterback room? What could we do in the quarterback room a little more, and to find answers, and to make throws, or to make those plays in those situations that kind of change the outcome of the game.
Great. Thanks for coming in, first of all, and talking to us and making the time for us.
Yeah, no, last year was a little bit different case, just with compared to this year, just the coaches and stuff. So
different dynamics too, But looking ahead. Physically, I think one question is just where are you physically in terms of, can you say like you won't need any surgery or anything going forward to set yourself up for the off season to have a full off season? Yeah,
just get some time off. Time off. Time's the best healer, and definitely just need time off. Nothing that needs any thing to be done. Just some time away, and time to get some rest, and just time away from football.
Drake, how good do you feel just about the foundation that you guys set this season and what that does for you moving forward?
Yes, coach just mentioned that in the squad meeting. Just what we've kind of the foundation we set, for this city, for this fan base, kind of got them back, got some energy back in the city. I think that's what we talked about in the quarterback room all year long about turning the city back up, and I think we did that. I think you felt that this year. You felt that at on Sunday, in the game, and we're at the biggest game on the highest level, and the Pats, they said we were back, but we came up a little short. But sometimes that happens, and sometimes you wish things would have gone different. But I can't say I have any regrets, besides not making a few extra more plays and a few extra throws in that game.
What was your biggest takeaway after watching the film again?
Yeah, I think we just lost. I think they made more plays than we did, and they were the better team on Sunday, and they deserved to win, and we just, we couldn't, speaking for myself, couldn't get enough going on offense, to help our team win.
Drake, you talked about with Karen and also with Doug this year about learning and taking away from the Super Bowl, but from the year as a whole, from what you learned this year, what do you take from this year to help you going forward?
I think first off, just what a long journey it is, to get to that game, and as many bumps or bruises or time you spend or how long it's field, it's really it's worth it when you are in that game and you have a chance to win the Super Bowl. And I think that's what you do it for. And it's really hard to make it seem like the games behind don't matter, but that's really the case when you get to that stage. The games behind the 20 other games that we played, they really it feels like the last one was the one that really mattered. And I think that's what you kind of learn about. This is what you go to work for and improve and try to not try to stay at the same level, coming into next year and try to act like, man, we're here and we're fine. We just need to keep doing what we're doing. You got to elevate, and teams are going to be looking at what we did, how we improved so quickly, and how we won the division and won the AFC and a lot of the great things. So teams are going to try to have a bullseye on us to try to stop us. So we got to not try to be complacent and know that teams are going to be chasing us, and we got to try to chase the Seahawks.
With Will Campbell, what's it been like? I know you guys have such a the relationship off the field. Just what's this first season been like playing with him?
Yeah, it's a pleasure going out there with Will. Every time I know it's probably been a long year for the rookies. A long year for Will, a long year for these guys to get adapted to play in the NFL. And I think Will is a great case of somebody who's experienced it all. Experienced the ups and downs, injury side of it, the long the long times we gotta you don't want to talk to the media but you have to, or the expectations of a first round pick. I think he's dealt with so much this year. It's only gonna be great for him in the future. He's gonna be a great player in this league. He already is a great player in this league, and I look forward to getting back in, seeing him in the off season, hanging out with him, and getting back in the OCAs. I love Will, and I look forward to playing with him for a long time.
Will, do you have what's your off season going to look like this year, perhaps compared to last year? Do you have any plans to kind of chill and then get back to it, or can you?
Yeah, I can't say too much. This off season, I got a wife now. We got a beautiful wife, so.
You got married last year.
I know. I look forward to spending this off season with my wife. And that's kind of my first thought. That's going to be the highlight of my off season. I can tell you that.
Drake, did you learn anything about, you kind of mentioned towards the end of the year when you were talking about the shoulder, that it's just, kind of a long season, and, just sort of comes with that. Is there anything you learned in terms of, how to prepare, how to take care of your arm over the course of a long season that you might be able to use next year, you think?
Oh, I feel like my arm was feeling great all year. I don't think throwing really was the instance for my arm. I think it's, a case of, having him one, hit in the AFC Championship game. That was just kind of unfortunate timing, and unfortunate kind of what, just like I said, the timing of it. And, the 2 weeks was great to have off, to have a chance to be out there and be out there for my guys. And, you can't, blame things on injuries. Things happen like this all the time in the league. Was blessed this year. What a year of, health and blessings for me this year. You can't, stone it on one little thing on the shoulder. So it's just unfortunate. It happened to be throwing one, but at the same time, I could have prevented it or made more plays. I was feeling like I was able to make throws in the game and was myself. So nothing that, I have anything really just much else to say about that.
Drake, I know it might be tough to reflect on it now, but where do you feel like you made the most strides this season, working with Josh McDaniels, working with Ashton Grant? And are there any things this offseason that you feel like you're going to hone in on early?
Yeah, really, felt like my rookie year in this, I was in the first year in this offense. I was the first full-time starter. Had a chance to learn so much from a great offensive coordinator, and Ashton has been awesome with just kind of relaying the connections between the past offense that he was in with the Browns that we had later last year, and just translating it and now using our own terminology and kind of building the foundation of this offense. There's so much more we can take this offense and give me more tools and more just answers to the line of scrimmage. And I think with my capability to play the position and kind of use my knowledge of the game and learn it from coach, to get us in the best spot is only going to help us down the road, and just try to get our guys in that offensive room and get me to that level where I'm, able to operate, on the field in a game-like manner, to accomplish those things. So I'm looking forward to it, getting a chance to be in the, Lord willing and knock on wood, the same offense for the second year. I'm looking forward to that. I think, the sky's the limit for us. We got a lot of great players in that room, in that locker room, and I think, it's going to be fun to get a chance to, find out, hey, what maybe these few things, Drake, you need to, really focus on, maybe eliminate from your game, or, know what plays, you don't take a sack on, or knowing when we're across the 50, try not to have negative plays. I think, little things like that. And, areas of the offense where you can take us to the next level, and coach can kind of give me some tools, and we work on trying to find that next level. So I'm looking forward to that, and that's what keeps you going in the offseason.
Greg, how much?
Two final questions.
And now, great moments in history.
Why the Patriots never blew anybody out in the Super Bowls has always been a mystery to me.
Yeah, I think they kind of low-key won that. You know,
I never felt like
Evan says that he never had any fear of losing the game against France.
I was just about to say it.
I never had any fear of losing.
That's exactly
I had
how I
fear
felt.
going to Pittsburgh in the AFC Championship game, and I know what the score ended up being, but that game to me was the Super Bowl. I never had any fear. I thought that the Patriots did not play particularly well in the first half of that game. In the second half, they asserted their dominance. They got a 10-point lead with whatever it was, 3 minutes left.
Yep.
Yeah. Eagles got an oh-by-the-way touchdown at the end.
It's a perfect comparison. It's exactly how I felt.
I never felt that game was in doubt.
Yeah. I didn't feel fear myself. Yeah.
You were at that one, Fred?
Oh, God, yeah.
Oh,
Come on, dude.
I wasn't.
Oh, that was the one Paul didn't get to go to.
That's another great moment from
All right, back here in Patriots Unfiltered, 855-PATS-500 is the hotline. Podcast at patriots.com is the way to email address. Obviously, we're going over the Super Bowl and the 2025 season, but we're also looking ahead to 2026 a little bit. What we need to do. Draft is coming up. The Combine is coming up in, 10 days or something like that?
Yeah, we'll be there
2 weeks?
2 weeks from right now, we'll be there.
2 weeks from yesterday.
Yeah.
Yep.
So, as Bill would always say, we're a little behind.
We're all a little behind.
We are all a little behind.
Yeah.
But no, that's dead. Never mind.
What's going to be our slogan next year?
I don't know.
I don't know.
We need more.
Me and Morel were walking out, and I was just like, it was all they had, and it wasn't enough.
Wow.
All right. Back to the phones we go. Let's go to Brandon in Pennsylvania. What's up, Brandon? Brandon.
Hey, guys.
Hey.
Guys. Happy to be on the show.
Good.
Me too.
Yeah, so obviously I've been listening to, what you guys are talking about. Trying not to overreact as a fan, but I have to disagree with what was said earlier about not to overreact about the offensive line play in the playoffs. Because I know where they were ranked throughout the regular season, but ultimately, like Evan said, we have to build this team in the offseason as if we're going against a top defense every week. And I think the playoffs exposed a lot of holes in our team.
So, Brendan, what do you want them to go ahead and change 4 starters again? Like, I think that's just the point I'm trying to make is like they already invested a lot in the offensive line last offseason. They took some steps forward this season. And now if you go back to the well and you start changing it again,
I don't think any of us are saying we need all 5, right? We just, a creative way to upgrade it. Is it a guard at which spot? That kind of thing.
Well, and I would also say, Brandon, you did have 2 rookies start on the left side, and I know that no one wants to go all cliche, but the rookie wall is a real thing, and I do think that there was signs that some of those young guys, their performances tailed off as the season. Now, Woodson was the one who went the other way. He seemed to get better as the season went, but you can make an argument that the first 4 picks, all kind of tailed off as the season wore on. I don't think Henderson was the same guy in the playoffs as he was sort of in that middle of the season when he was hitting all those home runs. Yeah. And Wilson and Campbell theoretically will be better players in year 2. I would just see it through.
Yeah. I think you just got to trust the process a little bit, because if you make a hole again at left tackle, let's say they move Campbell inside, now you need to use an asset to invest again in another left tackle a year later. Now we're talking about edge rushers, we're talking about receivers, we're talking about these other positions, and it's like there's only so many things to go around, especially when you're picking 31st in the first round. Like, they don't have a never-ending war chest to just go out there and plug all these different holes. So I think you have to hold your water.
That was part of my just concern as a fan. Because obviously, I know that resources are limited. It's not as simple as just plugging them in. And going into the playoffs, before the playoffs, I thought our one of their biggest acquisitions for the next season would get a top perimeter threat, get a pass rusher. That's what I was kind of hoping that we would address in this next coming off season. But then just after seeing the offensive line play, I can't help but think of, I don't want Drake May to turn into Joe Burrow. I don't want him to have a T. Higgins and a Jamar Chase on the outside, but then he gets hit so much every year that he ends up getting hurt and not even being able to play. That's just my concern. I know it's not a simple thing to address, but as a fan, that's what I'm worried about. Because at this point, I don't even know if getting a perimeter threat or a tight end that was mentioned earlier to open up the field is really going to matter if he just gets hit every single play. I think a lot of it has to do with him as a young player as well, being able to address who's blitzing, and I think he'll grow from there. And I'm not disagreeing with you guys completely. I think that you have to trust the process a little bit. I was just, as a fan, very disappointed. That's what stuck out to me.
All right, thanks, Brandon. Appreciate the call.
I mean, look at how much work the Bengals have tried to put into their offensive line, and it's really hard to do.
I just think we're losing sight of the fact that he was just the runner-up for the MVP. Like, was he on his butt all season, or was he on his butt the last couple of weeks? And let's look at it objectively and not just think about the last thing that we just saw against maybe the best pass rush in the NFL in Seattle. And like, you have two young players. My biggest thing would be with Will Campbell and Jared Wilson, I would not play them next to each other. Like, I think when you have two young players like that playing side by side, it's so easy to just target that one side of the
Certainly
offensive
what Seattle
line.
did.
Right?
Yeah.
Where, like, if you can spread them out a little bit, then it's a lot easier
Do you think they made a bit of a mistake when Wilson came back from his injury, not keeping Ben Brown in there? Because Brown was playing pretty well.
I questioned it at the time.
Yeah.
Because I just think, going back to something I said earlier, like, Brown's a bigger guard. He's a bigger, wider, more physical player than Jared Wilson. And, like, did that help settle Campbell down a little bit, knowing that he had somebody with some size playing next to him?
Mm-hmm.
I thought that they were better, honestly, with Ben Brown.
To extrapolate, maybe Brandon gets some of his wish. Maybe that's a move, and it's Wilson inside to center if they decide Bradbury's no longer there. Brown, they extended, so they obviously like him.
Yeah.
Maybe Brown gives them a little of that girth that Evan's talking about next to Will Campbell. And again, I expect those two guys to be better in year two.
Yeah.
And I also think Wilson's not getting enough attention. As he's not getting it. And I understand 4th overall pick, left tackle, that's a spotlight position. And I loved the way Campbell answered those questions today. It's like, that comes with the territory. I was a high pick, number 4 overall. I'm highly paid. I deserve to get scrutinized. I'm paraphrasing, but Wilson, I don't think has been under the same scrutiny.
No,
they both struggled.
Mark is in Denver, North Carolina. I didn't know there was such a thing. Denver, North Carolina.
That's your favorite North Carolina city?
Yeah.
Then.
Let's not forget Campbell is a young rookie. His deficit is not arm length. It's small technique adjustments and another offseason in the weight room. He will be a good left tackle in this league as he gains experience and size. At 22 years old, for his first go at these elite ends, he has learned and will get better.
I thought it was so interesting the amount of support that he got from a lot of online Twitter troll. The NFL linemen, guys who had done it, hearing from those guys carries a lot of weight for me. And that's why, Vrabel said it, so we don't have to spend all offseason talking about, do you keep him there? No, Vrabel said it. But remember when we had, I think it was Morgan Moses in here talking about the offensive line this year, and he gave so much credit to Garrett Bradbury. And, I'm not saying that it's just you're going to have to upset the apple cart a little bit to get the offensive line better, but I think you need to do it. I just don't think it's going to start with Campbell. It's going to start with one of the
and I'm not
three spots.
suggesting to worry about hurting people's feelings or anything like that. But like they already changed out 4/5 of the offensive line last offseason, and they got a little bit better. And if maybe a starting caliber left guard in free agency or something like that is the answer, maybe moving Wilson to center and signing a left guard is the answer. But like they're not going to go out and sign 5 new starters again. Like that's just not going to happen. And I would just add to the emailer, both things can be true. Will Campbell's dimensions is the problem, but that doesn't mean that he can't be good around the dimensions, which is the technique part that people keep bringing up. I think the issue for him, or not issue, or just the thing for him, is he's going to have to be a really good technician at the position. Like he's going to have to be like a master at his set points, his hand fighting, his strike timing, like all these little minutiae that we talk about with offensive line play to, at his dimensions, be a high level left tackle. But that doesn't mean that he can't do it. It just means that they're both true.
Yeah, and you got to give him some time, to Paul's point. You got to give him some time to see that. And if you immediately throw the baby out with the bathwater, big baby.
Will he have the same coaches next year?
I don't know. That's a great question. I was wondering about that. I mean, they do have 3 guys. I mean, this is just my non-informed, off the cuff. Like, I wonder if Marone comes back or if, like, Hoteling takes it over. Maybe it's a thing with him. I don't know. I'm just speculating. It'd be great to get Doug Marone back, but I just wonder if he might want something a little bigger than, being the head offensive line coach for the Patriots.
Patrick's in Canada. What's up, Patrick?
Hey, guys. So, yes. Hi there. So, I'm just calling because after, going through the emotions of Sunday's game there, I'm wondering what your thoughts are on the game that Josh McDaniels called as the OC, because I'm not sure about you guys, but I was somewhat surprised that, he kind of waited until very, very last minute when the game, for the most part, was a little out of hand. At that point, a little out of reach to really kind of take risks and shake things up. I would have loved to seen some big personnel out of him, like, bring an extra tight end or even an extra offensive line to try to force Seattle out of that quarters look they use with 2 high safeties, right? To try to really, really run the ball. If you're really that committed to the ground game, why not just bring in all your big guys and just try to stuff it down the throat until you're forced them to stack the box and maybe create some one-on-ones. Guys, it didn't seem like they could throw the ball because Seattle was playing zone the whole time. There's cover 4, cover 6. There's like nothing there for me at all whatsoever. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, that's all great points, Patrick. I mean, those are all the points that I've tried to hit on. I did not think that this game was coached well by the Patriots. I didn't think they called a good game, and I think he hit a lot of it. I mean, they had one play with 6 offensive linemen on the field and went for 21 yards, and they never went back to it.
So I was surprised about that, the Mumford thing. And I don't know if maybe they could have dictated some matchups a little bit with that. I thought that they had a decent mix of aggressiveness downfield early that people are completely forgetting, that weren't there. I mean, there was a deep ball, I think, to Hollins on a 3rd down. I thought they ran the ball just ineffectively for the most part. I'm just looking at some of the starts, some of these drives. Yeah, the first drive, it was a 6-yard run that started it. And then, the second drive they had the ball, Evans' play with Mumford was the first down play. It was a 21-yard completion. Then 1st and 10, 43. Henderson up the middle, -3. Then it puts you immediately behind the sticks. Then, you go to like a later drive, and it's the first down play, for a 3-yard run. And, the next time it's a Stevenson 3-yard run. It just
3-yard runs in a game like that aren't a loss, in my opinion.
No, but what I'm saying is I think they did try to run the ball on early downs for the most part early in the game, and they weren't overly effective doing it. Their 2 running backs both averaged 3.2 and 3.3 yards per carry on 13 carries total. Like, Evan's right. Henderson had a 9-yard run and still averaged 3 yards a carry.
A 9-yard run against that defense might as well be a 25-yard run.
No, but what I'm saying is that was the one run, and they still only averaged 3. Counting that, they averaged 3 yards a carry.
I hear
like,
what
it's
you're
just
saying,
not,
but
you can't run against them.
But you have to stay on schedule against that defense. Like if you're,
I think they got in a lot of 3rd and longs because they ran the ball early in some possessions.
I think they were chipping away in the run game. I think Stevenson had 7 carries or something crazy like that.
Yeah, they only had 13 carries.
Yeah,
in the game,
I mean, like,
2.
and there's
7 for 23 for Stevenson, 6 for 19 for Henderson.
6-yard run in there. There's a 5-yard run in there. There's a 4-yard run in there. There's a 3-yard run in there. Like, when you're playing a defense like that, you need to keep chipping away to have balance to the offense. Because if you turn it in,
but you got to convert some 3rd downs.
But if you turn it into a drop back game where it's 3rd and 9 and plus, like, you're not going to convert 3rd downs.
That was 3rd and 7 a lot because they were getting 3 yards. Like, I think it's a tough way to play against that team.
I think the opposite.
Well,
I think
it's
the
a tough
opposite
team,
way
so
is
it might be the only way to do it. But you gotta.
Maybe I'm giving them too much credit. Maybe I'm giving Seattle too much credit. I just don't think I don't think anybody ran against them all year. I don't think you were a very good running team, and they didn't allow any running yards all year. I didn't think that was the way to go about it.
I don't think that aren't running the ball necessarily to score points and to be super productive with the running game.
If they could have gotten 5 and 6 yard runs, like you said, which I think they did twice. If they could have done that consistently, I would agree with you. I just think they set up a lot of long yardage second downs. And then that's when, the pressure's coming, and all of a sudden it's 3rd and long, and you
So you're saying you pass out a first down?
Yeah. And I'm sure they did that plenty too. I just was looking at a couple of the early drives. I thought, the first play of the game is a 6-yard run. That's great. I'm with Evan on that. That's how you stay ahead of the chains.
Their first run of the game was 16, I think.
It was 10, but it's really hard to do. And I'm not saying that it's an easy way to live, but their first drive of the game started 6-yard run, 2-yard run, short pass to Stevenson
for first down. Yep.
That's
how you stay ahead of the chains. I agree. If you can get 6, I'm with you. I just wasn't expecting to get 6 very often.
I understand. I think that that defense, because they play as much too high shell as they do, they don't give up a lot of explosive runs, which is why a lot of the numbers, the yards per carry and all that stuff really. But I think what they will give up is a lot of 3 or 4 yard runs. So could you have kept it in 2nd and 6 instead of 2nd and 10 because you have an incomplete pass on first down? You know what I mean?
Sure. And to your point, you're not expecting to get 2 or 3 yards on the run. You want to get maybe 4 or 5.
Yeah.
And I'm not expecting to get an incomplete pass on the first down pass. So yeah, I mean, I see what you're saying.
Yeah.
Whatever you do, you got to do it well.
Right.
That's it.
And they did have a couple. I think Stevenson had a 6-yard run on a first down, and he had a 5-yard run on a first down. And I don't think that they were able to.
I also just
maybe to Evan's point, if they kept doing it, maybe it would have gotten better.
I wasn't expecting them to start breaking big runs against that defense. They don't give up big runs, but I was hoping that they could maybe just continue to consistently chip away at them. And Stevenson's been one of their best offensive players for the past 2 months, and they completely kind of took him out of the game. And I think the Patriots took him out of the game.
I would agree.
I don't think Seattle did. I think the Patriots did, and that's where the part was frustrating.
Rhett writes in, Morgan Moses is going to be 35 and was getting beat on speed rushes. He was a Band-Aid fix, not long-term. Yep. We should draft or get younger there, too.
Yeah. Well, that's the whole point, is that you need to replace him. Maybe not in the starting lineup in 26, but you need to replace him. He's not here for the long term. So you're going to need a guard. you're going to need a tackle. And now everybody wants to replace the left tackle, too. So you're in a situation like Evan's saying where, so we're going to replace 2 tackles again. 2 years in a row, we're going to replace 2 tackles. So now you're not addressing any of the other needs.
No.
There's a lot of other needs.
You need a tackle that can start next year. Assuming that you're going to get that much out of Morgan Moses again next year, you have to be completely prepared for him to miss multiple games next year. And hopefully it's a developmental guy. It's like a Solder that comes in and then, Vollmer gets hurt. Solder's going to come in and play a little early but get that experience. But I don't know how they feel about Marcus Bryant. He's the big question mark. I don't think he was really active much at all this year. Maybe
down the
once
stretch,
or twice,
he was inactive
not at all.
The whole time.
I don't know if there's anything there. So and
I don't
that's
know
why
if
I bring up
there's anything
Vidarian
there
Lowe. He played okay. He's an okay backup. Is there going to be a market for him? Everybody's
the problem
desperate
with him
for
is that
tackles.
he's a left side backup.
Yeah.
He doesn't swing.
Yeah.
He can't play right. So I remember Belichick used to say this all the time: when you draft based on need and you miss, then you didn't fill the need. Right? So everybody would say, you drafted the position in the first round that, they drafted for need. They needed a left tackle. They drafted a left tackle. Well, the problem is that when the left tackle can't play, you still have the need. Mm-hmm. So to Paul's point, if you're a little bit patient with Will Campbell and you give him another year to see if he can play the position, then you maybe address it,
I think that's the way I'd go.
2 to 3 years from now.
Get him in the weight room. Work on his footwork.
It's the technique. His feet and his hands are late. So when his guys are getting into his frame and then his feet aren't in the ground. And so then he's going back into Drake. It's a technique thing that he can fix.
Don's in Philly. What's up, Don?
Hey, guys. as we all know, Super Bowl sucked, but this is an off-season show where we're more excited about free agency and the draft than the Super Bowl. Just kind of wanted to discuss, I kind of think that, and I know we're a bit early and you guys haven't dug too much into the draft, but I kind of like the idea of, if this Kenyon Sadiq is available. He's a developmental tight end, might go in the late teens, early 20s. Think about trading up
He's
for
an
him.
excellent player.
Yeah, I mean, if he's available, I think it'd be really cool.
Yeah, I don't think he'll be available at the end of the first round. He's the kid out of Oregon, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
If he's in, mid-teens, high teens, low 20s, consider trading up for him. Is that something you think this regime would consider in terms of, getting rid of assets? But kind of just wanted your opinion on, tight end, wide receiver, edge rusher, how you rank them, what your ideal focus would be, through free agency and the draft. But I'll take it off air. Thanks, guys.
All of the above.
I would just say that with this regime, I wouldn't. I would say anything and everything is in play until we find out what their tendencies are. Like with Bill, I would have tended to say probably not. That's I'm not going to go up 10, 12 spots because he didn't do it all that often at the top of the draft. He made a lot of trades around the draft later, but I don't know what Mike Vrabel thinks.
Yeah.
And Ryan Cowden and Elliott Wolf and whoever else is going to be involved in this stuff. Evan and I were talking off air at the break just now about kind of making a splash a little bit, moving that pick for a player, moving up in the first round. I think all these kinds of things are on the table.
I would move the pick for a player. I just think that this team right now needs impact players at key positions.
Yep.
It's only a couple. I think they need an edge rusher, and I think they need another playmaker on offense. But those don't just grow on trees, and especially are pretty hard to find at 31. So if you can trade that first round pick for Max Crosby, I'm doing that in a heartbeat.
100%.
And I don't even know if it would take 31. I don't know what Crosby's value is. I'm terrible at that. I have no idea what his value is.
I have to think he'd be worth.
But
the first round
I would think maybe that would be it, especially a late first round pick. But I think that they're in that era now. They're in that range where they don't need to keep just drafting and drafting and drafting. They're good enough now where I think they can make a splash like that.
Yeah, start at edge and tight end. Those are two spots. You're going to have to bring in players at those spots. They're thin. They've got.
There are
free
some
agents.
free agent tight ends. Kyle Pitts is a free agent.
I'd be open to that.
Isaiah Likely is a free agent.
Yeah.
So there are some free agent tight ends that would be available. Both those guys are more big receivers, big slot receivers than
I
they
like
are.
that though. I think
true
that
tight
fits.
ends.
I think that fits Drake's style.
In the passing game, it does. I'll be upset about my running game, but I know I care about that.
But I think that was an underrated problem.
Yeah,
because I don't think you got a lot of blocking out of either of those guys.
I look at
Henry.
Barnard, who just killed them, blocking, catching the ball.
Beast.
I mean, he was a big time X factor in the game in both the run and pass game, and just watching how Seattle's able to get into their 12 personnel and have tight ends that can block and catch the ball and move the pocket and play action and all that
when
stuff.
You watched, I'm curious about that now that you brought it up. With the tight ends, were they really effective? Because how many times did you see Walker squirt to the sideline and get down? And I'm not suggesting that the officiating was a problem. Generally, when you see that, you get at least one holding call, and I don't think there was a single one in the game. Now, I'll take the way that game was officiated any day. There were no calls. I love it.
Yep.
I think there was one false start on Will Campbell in the first 3 quarters of the game. I don't even remember another penalty until the fourth quarter. The Seahawks got a couple on defense.
Hey, I got a question. What was up with all the fighting going on? Did you see who was in the middle of that? It seemed like quite a few scrums down near the end. I couldn't tell
I
from
saw
my
one. It looked like
perch.
29.
Somebody threw a punch.
29,
at one
I thought, threw a punch. I was
Yeah.
surprised there were no flags on that one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There you go.
They were jarring. They were pushing. I mean, they were both giving it back and forth. But I thought 29 for the Seahawks threw a punch.
Diggs had somebody's face mask.
Job.
But it was, result of something
so that's
else.
why they didn't throw the flag.
Yeah.
Diggs had his face mask.
Yeah.
Okay.
Offsetting.
Are we going to talk about Diggs, or are we just going to whistle by that graveyard?
What do you want to talk about?
Where is he?
Where is he?
Oh, he wasn't in the locker room?
No, he was. So, where was he on the field?
Oh.
The entire playoffs.
Well, I think the teams, they said, let's just get rid of him.
Well, did you find they were giving him more attention?
Not in this game.
No.
I think he was kind of. I don't even know what he was doing.
No.
Oh,
Yeah.
Oh, was he not running his routes?
I don't even know what he was doing.
I don't. It's probably not for us.
Okay.
It,
All
it
right.
just. It was.
Okay, Cardi.
We were out to lunch a little bit.
Yeah. Well,
That's
I
not
think
good.
wide receiver is another position we have to look at.
Just look at him and Hunter Henry. Two guys that were kind of the engines of the passing game in the regular season, and their production completely fell off a cliff in the postseason. I think they went from like 105 yards per game combined to like 55 in the playoffs, basically cut in half. And we can sit here and say that teams were game planning them and stuff like that, but teams game plan a lot of good players and they find ways to get open,
Sure. They need a young dynamic weapon. There's no question
I
about
think
it.
that, I mean, you can't fill everything all the time. It's just like we said last year. That's a big need.
Yep.
They need a dynamic playmaker.
I mean,
I don't know if it's going to be a tight end or a wide receiver, but whatever.
Right,
They need
but
someone.
like a Tyler Warren, I'm just coming up with tight ends that have gone the last couple years that I think could come in and make an instant impact.
I mean, I would love to have Tyler Warren, but
I know
he
we're
ain't
not
getting
picking.
them
I know
at
we're not picking that
31.
part, but I said Colston
Sadiq's a
Loveland
really
too.
good
I mean,
player.
I'm just finding
I like
body
the caller's suggestion. I like
it's
that
not
player.
I'm just going off of what all the Bruglers and all the draft people say because I've done zero work on the draft whatsoever, but it's not thought of to be a very good draft. It's not a great draft. It's not a very deep draft.
Like you're talking about in its entirety,
in
as
its
a whole.
entirety. This
Wow.
is
Okay.
not a particularly good class based off of what the experts.
We finally got
early
through the
experts are
COVID
saying.
stuff.
yeah,
right.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of that is just based, let's face it, it's based off of a couple of positions, whether or not like quarterback is strong and stuff like that. And this year, Mendoza's really the only prize at quarterback.
Right.
So, that always hurts it. There are some edge rushers, but a lot of them are expected to go pretty early in the draft. Ruben Bain, like guys like that are going to be like top 10 picks.
Yeah.
So we'll see, but it's not thought of very highly in terms
Want to know
of the draft talent.
one thing with Diggs that kind of annoyed me? It's probably just a me thing. Late in the game, he caught a deep pass down the middle, and he got up kind of like. I was like, bro, the game's over.
No.
You're not styling this catch here, are you? Like, I think he kind of spun the ball, and besides the fact that they were in hurry up, they're trying to desperately score touchdowns, and I was like, to Evan's point, you kind of been MIA all playoffs, and now you catch like a 25-yard pass when you're getting killed in the Super Bowl and you're styling it.
I just didn't really, we talked earlier about quarterbacks having their binkies. Like that, Diggs is supposed to be the binky. Like he's supposed to be the chain mover.
was all
he's
year.
supposed to be the guy that, when you need 7 yards, he's going to get 8. That's supposed to be his role, and it just.
So you didn't really see him open a lot during the game?
No, and just running through zones, and I'm so many just 3 vertical routes down the field, and I'm like, where are we going? Just
stop and turn around.
Yeah, and the pass rush is just on top of May, and they just are sending guys. They're running 9-8-9, go and with the post in the middle, and they're just running it over and over again. And maybe he has one little. The tight end or the back is chipping and then leaking out underneath as kind of like a late outlet.
That
but
seemed like his only outlets were just to the flats with the running backs.
Yeah,
There were no
they're just
slot
running down the field and he's holding the ball. It's just,
not good.
I digress.
James is in Georgia. What's up, James?
Oh, it's James Pierce.
James.
Oh,
yikes!
James is in Georgia. Going once, twice. You're out. Let's go to Peter in Tampa. What's up? Peter's
Peter.
gone. He's not there.
Peter.
How about Manny in New Bedford? What's up, Manny?
Hey, what's going on, guys? Can you hear me?
Yes.
Hey, what a hell of a season we had. Hear me out for a second. I'm pretty glad about the amount of exposure we had in this postseason. And I don't know if you remember, I don't know if you guys watched this, but Myles Garrett was on a podcast not too long ago, and he was asked, how do you beat the Patriots? And one of the first things he said was, Drake is going to hold the ball, so you're going to have to beat him with a 4-man rush. All right, so I'm so glad that Drake was exposed because for the most, but I remember we talked about early in the season is he likes to hold the ball. Okay, so this is going to be such a teaching moment for him going into the next year is being able to pick up the pressure and being able to get the ball out quicker, right? So again, I remember he's not learning much when he's up over 70% completion percentage, right? He's kind of floating at that all-time high. But this postseason really exposed the things that he really needs to work on. So I'm I'm happy about the success. Obviously, I didn't want the Patriots to lose, but I'm glad that so much of that was exposed in this postseason, because this is something that he's really going to have to work on for next year. And again, we got to tell these people that are like so quick to say we need to change up the offensive line. No, it's so much harder to sit here and change up the offensive line than to just teach Drake May how to handle the pressure and how to get the ball out sooner. I think we have to just trust the process, and just trust that where we're at in the offensive line, and they're going to build more chemistry the upcoming year. So I'm curious to see what you guys think about that. Thanks.
I really don't have any major problems with Drake holding the ball. Like, he's a playmaker. He's not like I don't look at him as somebody that I want to like turn into like this like quick release like check down Charlie. Like it's also like to me a lot easier said to just sit here and say get rid of the ball. Like,
well, I think you by design, I think you have to do that at times just to keep the defense on its heels.
Well, if they had done that, then I would agree. But like you can't if there's nobody to throw the ball to.
Well,
then I don't know. Who you want
it's all linked.
To.
It's all linked.
I understand what Evan's talking about. In the back of my mind, it's like you get a guy who throws 15 picks, and you're like, you just got to cut down on the interceptions. You just got, and then the guy ends up throwing 5 interceptions the next year, but for half the touchdowns and half the yards. Well, why did that happen? Because he's so intent on not making any plays anymore. I think if you turn Drake May into got to get rid of the ball and get it out quick, you have a potential to lose a lot of that downfield stuff that you got this year, because not all of that was just, shotgun, snap, back foot with throwing a go route to Booty. Some of it was moving around, sliding around, thinking of like the Saints played, where they booted him out a little bit and they're throwing it downfield to Demario Douglas. And I understand he takes too many sacks. He needs to cut back. He needs to cut back on the sacks, but I don't want him just saying, I got to get rid of the ball all the time. I want the playmaking element.
But there's a time for that, and I think it's more, to me, the experience, the mental experience, going against the playoff games. I think there were too many times where, the drifting into pressure, the looking at the wrong side, those kind of things I think will help him. And it doesn't always have to be, I agree with you guys, I don't want to make him a quick game only guy, but I think he needs to know when it's got to be quick game only. There's got to be some times for that too.
And I think there's just like 5 or 6 throws that he missed in this game, and he also missed a handful of them in the AFC Championship game where he just flat out missed the throw.
Right.
And if he makes those throws, I just think we're talking about this a lot differently. Like he had, his third down, he has Booty on a slant, and he just throws it, makes him dive for it, and he just can't make the catch. He has, there's
the Douglas one on the third down.
The Douglas one on third down where he short-armed it. Like, if he's making these throws like he was all regular season, then like I don't think we're sitting here saying that he takes too many sacks and this, that, the other thing. Like,
it's like Kevin said, he was like 5 points away from being the MVP. Like he barely was the runner-up.
But it's just such an experience. I mean, there's so many different ways games unfold, and with him, I think he's a young kid, and these are like, he's got to get to that point where you can be terrible for a couple quarters, and then you turn it around and you start playing well, and you get, you find your rhythm. Those are the things and maybe I'm being too anecdotal with that, but it's felt like Drake's games go the way they go. There's not really he played like crap for the first half, and then he came out in the second. Maybe there were 1 or 2.
I think Baltimore's the only great example of that.
Where he kind of turned it around, and you see too much snowballing. Like these games, especially even going back to preseason. That's what's just the dichotomy between what we saw this year and then what we saw in the playoffs. It's just when we were watching in training camp, like this is what I was expecting to see more of throughout the season. Not consistently, but more of these kind of games where, he just, he got thrown off. This defense got to him. He did great, but I also think once you got to the playoffs, you really see that tells you the truth against those good defenses.
Jacob in Nashville, history tends to repeat itself. How does this team and its journey remind you of the 96 team, and do you foresee a 2001-like run in a few years? Well, I mean, somebody else asked me that. Will this be like 96? And I said, I hope not. Because they actually got worse every year after 96 until they had to make a coaching change. I don't want that to happen.
Yeah. I mean, to me, not so always. I've been bringing a lot of things back to '85, but I do think there are some similarities there for me in that was a record-setting road team. This was a record-setting road team, and in the Super Bowl, both teams ran into an absolute buzzsaw on defense. And I don't know what it means for going forward. Everyone wants to say, "Oh, they got there, they got the experience." I think that's great, but like we've been talking about, they have to get a lot better next year. And I think they have a lot of holes that we saw in training camp were re-exposed here in the playoffs.
Okay. Brendan in Edmonton says,
did they win this year?
What?
17.
Was the result of the Super Bowl more related to being lesser talented or more related to injuries to key players?
Sorry, I didn't hear the first part. I was being snarky.
Super Bowl more about being less talented or key injuries?
First one.
Yeah, I think so. Against this team. Yep.
Yeah, a bunch of dudes up front.
Yep. New Jersey, Canton, New Jersey. There's no question Seattle was the better team on Sunday, but how I wish that the Patriots could have scored on that second, fourth quarter drive. Would have made it a one-score game, and even if they lost, there would have been a shot where they could have stolen one. But Drake's ill-conceived throw ended it. Oh well. But I'm super psyched for next year when the rookies have more experience and stamina.
You could feel the Seahawks fans get a little tense after that first touchdown, and then they punted. And they were all kind of just sitting down, like, and I felt like kind of the South Seattle play too. Like they just felt like it was inevitable, and they were sitting there, just sitting back, waiting. And then you felt a little bit, and then when they threw that interception, all of a sudden, all the Seahawks fans woke up at that point, and like tension released for them. But you could feel it a little bit in the stadium that the Patriots.
I did. Like I said, I had like my one little moment was when they forced Seattle to punt after they scored. And they got the ball back. I said, well, if they could score. Now, I got to be honest with you. I didn't think they were going to go down and score just because of the way the game was going. But I said, if they could go down and score, there's a lot of game pressure on Sam Darnold. Maybe that's when
the turnover finally comes.
Starts to turn it over.
It was just a bad play. Like, ball died on him because he, like, hitched up into the pocket. Yeah. Hit his arm as he was throwing, threw it right to the post safety who was going to be there anyways, even if he got enough on the ball. I don't know, just not a
good decision, not a good throw.
You know what I'm reminded of though this week is that 31 teams suck right now. There's one team that's awesome, and
that's why I was being snarky, but that's why I brought I understand we're all upset. I understand that they lost the game. But, like, they won 17 games this year and made it to the Super Bowl. And I feel like a lot of the stuff we're hearing today is, like, how are we going to overhaul the roster? And it's like, guys, like, the quarterback just was the runner-up for MVP. The coach won Coach of the Year. They were just playing in the Super Bowl. Like, they have holes. They have things to fix. But let's not overreact and act like the whole team is crap now just because they lost to Seattle.
And as the Super Bowl loser, this is your week. This is your week to get the suck spotlight. You know, everyone on Twitter talking about Will Campbell and all. You know, it's just and that's.
So what I hope doesn't happen is, and it happens a lot in history, is the
Super Bowl
team that loses the Super Bowl, they don't bounce back very well.
They don't make the playoffs a lot.
I feel like it's mostly that, but it does sometimes go the other way where it's fuel. And the Eagles, it took them 2 years. You know, there was a year in between their appearances, and then they won the second time they got back. But they weren't terrible the following year. They just weren't a Super Bowl
they
team.
fell apart at the end of the year. They were like 10-1 or something like that.
Yeah.
But that's why Evan's point that he made early in the show is so important. Like you have to find out the whys.
Yeah.
You know, like, and they have a more realistic look at everything than we do, obviously. So they might look at it, not to be snarky, but they might look at it and say, yeah, this roster's not going to be good enough to win 17 games next year because we're going to be playing different teams.
Yeah.
And maybe like, why was the offensive line not good enough in the postseason? It might be because you played 4 good teams.
Mm-hmm.
4 good defenses, and again, Mike Vrabel and his staff have a better understanding of how much those kinds of factors impacted the performance
and the injuries. You know, like injury level of competition. A lot of young guys in big places. You know, young quarterback, young left tackle. You know what? All the different circumstances. And then you got to look at. Like every year, you got to look at your system. You got to look at the schemes you're running and the system you're running, and what can you better do there. I mean, there's a couple things that they didn't they couldn't run a draw play to save their life.
I
The screens weren't great.
Oh, there's just too much pressure right up the middle.
Right. So like these are things that like, screen game, draws, moving the pocket, all things that they didn't do very well are all change ups to try to get the pass rush away from the quarterback. And if you can't do those, then you're just kind of drop back passing all the time, and then they're just teeing off on you.
How do you feel? I asked Paul this in Sanford. How do you feel about the running back position? Like, how would you approach that this offseason? I mean, do you want to go?
I feel pretty good about
Henderson
the running
and
backs.
Stevenson. You feel pretty good as a duo.
I like those too, but I feel like they probably need somebody. But not a major. I don't know what's Antonio Gibson's situation.
Gibson, yeah.
I
he's
mean,
under
they
contract.
definitely need a third guy, but most teams now are only running really with two, and then they have
that Gibson injury was kind of
third.
sneaky harmful.
Well, at the time, you didn't miss them too much because they were winning.
Kickoffs and just having a second, sneaky.
It's a running back. You do running back on your own time.
Kickoff returner.
But I agree with Evan. Like, how many teams rotate 3 backs?
None. Most teams are going with the two-headed monster these days. I mean, the Seahawks had it with Charbonnet and Walker until Charbonnet got hurt. So, like, that's really the way that the league has gone. The third guy is what they've been using Dearness Johnson for. He's, insurance in case somebody gets hurt, and he's a kickoff returner, maybe, that sort of thing.
I just laughed. I was laughing because in one of Paul's shows this morning, they were talking about the caller. They nearly need to bring in a fullback. Josh wants a fullback.
They could. I mean, that's not wrong.
Lampy?
They just
8th round maybe. Draft.
Well, I'm not saying you need to draft one or anything like that, but I think if that's how they want to, kind of script their run game is to stick to the way McDaniels has always run the ball. They need to have the personnel to run it that way.
Just find a fullback above replacement. Like, can they be that hard to find?
No, they don't have to. It doesn't have to be like a high asset. Like,
but just
James Devlin was not like
right.
They didn't draft him in the 2nd round or anything like that. Like, no one's advocating for that.
Could do it.
Henry in sunny Yorkshire. Overall, very, very happy with the season. Of course, disappointing not to win our last game, but we have to be happy with how things have played out. That being said, do we still find ourselves in the same position as we were this time last year? Questions that all 5 O-line positions need to find a number 1 receiver. Questions about depth across the defense. A need to improve the pass rush. Like I say, very happy with how things played out, but we still have huge strides to take. So should be great to watch. Something about watching a few wins. I don't know what that means. Bad grammar.
I think they're closer than a lot of these people are making it sound. I really do.
This is everybody sucks week though. This is,
I don't understand it.
But would you agree they need a WR1?
Yeah, but that's like a cherry on top thing that you get.
I don't think that's a cherry on top.
What do you mean?
I think they need a WR1. I don't think it's a cherry. I think they need one.
Yeah, it's a cherry on top because they already have the foundation laid. Like, they already have the quarterback. They already have a great coach. They already have pieces. So now you drop the wide receiver on top of it, and now you have a team.
It's more than a cherry. I think it's foundational in this NFL and today's NFL.
I'm saying that they're at that point now where they can start making these types of big swings. I'm not saying that I think we're just.
No, but they need a true number 1 receiver.
And
when I say that, I don't mean they're not going to get Jamar Chase or Justin Jefferson. When I say true number 1 receiver, I mean a guy that week in and week out Drake May can depend on. That he's gonna have production. He's going to end the season with or at least near 1,000 yards and over 80 catches.
But all I'm saying is that they're at the win now move stage. Like acquiring a number 1 wide receiver, acquiring a star pass rusher like a Max Crosby, your window is now, and you're going to try to win one now.
Yeah,
you don't do that necessarily as a rebuilding team. Like when you're 4-13 and you don't know if you have the
quarterback. When you have your quarterback, it gives you the luxury of focusing elsewhere.
Right now you're in that window. Like I don't think that they have holes all over the roster still. I think that they have like 3 or 4 really big needs that if they can hit on them, then they're going to be right back here where they were this year.
I agree with that.
Well, I don't think that all the callers and emails we're getting are like, we need to rehaul the offensive line. And they're this
we're
and
getting
they're
a lot
that,
of we have to address all 5 offensive line spots again, last. I think that's Too strong.
Yeah.
Too strong. You have to always be looking to improve. Mike and Evan have been talking about this for weeks. I couldn't agree more with both of them. Mike, perfect analogy, the 03 to 04 Corey Dillon thing. Like, you need to, if that's right. Max Crosby or someone like that, that's the kind of move they should be looking to make and able to make because of the situation you're in. Players are no longer going to say no to you just because it's you.
Yeah. Yeah.
You just came out of the Super Bowl.
But Corey Dillon, though, that's exactly it. It's the win now move. It's the push it over the top move.
Yeah, that's why I loved it as soon as Mike said that. Whenever he said it for the first time, and I keep giving him credit for it.
I appreciate it.
Yeah, it's not the, we
bringing in that hungry.
We have 10 holes and we need to overhaul total.
Yeah. So we're gonna have another show on Tuesday, obviously, Thursday. But we can Thursday. I mean. We can talk about the viability of bringing in a guy like Max Crosby. What would it take?
First round pick. I think everybody here.
You think you would give a first round pick for him?
Yes.
Ooh,
I would.
Well, at 31, maybe. Yeah.
Is he 31?
I think.
No. Our pick is at 31. Yeah.
He's only 28.
Yeah.
He's a needle mover in the worst way that
I just can't imagine you getting him for less than a first round pick. But who knows? Sometimes these guys go for less than you think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'd sign me up right now for 31.
Oh, yeah.
Brady wouldn't let the Patriots get him.
He's not rooting for anybody, Paul.
That's not out. But
He's got no dog in the fight. He's just trying
Diana Rossini is saying that Max Crosby wants to play for Vrabel already.
No.
She said that on Radio Row last week.
Yeah. All right. Like I said, we'll be back on Thursday. Thanks for listening, watching. Thanks for listening and watching all last week. At Radio Row.
This is nothing, Freddie. 2 hours.
I know, right? I was like, oh, yeah.
That was a lot of fun. Just wish we couldn't have, finished the deal. But we will be back Thursday, and we'll be here every Tuesday and Thursday throughout the offseason.
And Catch 22 tomorrow.
Yeah, Catch 22 we move is now new.
12?
Taking the noon on Wednesday spot from PU during in season.
Okay, so we'll fill your Wednesdays with the light banter of Evan Lazar and Alex Barth.
Right.
Alex came back with a little hop in his step, so I don't know what happened down there, but
even though the Patriots don't know, or
even though the Patriots lost, he seemed to be a little bit on the up.
My favorite quick
Alex
story was on Monday morning. Wake up to a text from Alex. It's just like,
who is this woman that's knocking on my
door?
No, it was like,
why did I get a bill?
Did that? So that really happened, huh? And I was like, yeah, they lost. Yeah, that was not a nightmare.
It's
that
tough
happened.
for you kids. I know.
Yeah.
All right. See you Thursday.
Hey, this is Deuce. Thanks for tuning into the show. If you really want to help us, make sure you like us wherever you get your podcasts, like Apple Podcasts or Spotify. Also, make sure you follow us on the New England Patriots YouTube channel to see this show and everything else that we do here at the Patriots. Thanks a lot.